Source water protection in Ontario. Water exists in a range of forms, from the ice caps in the Arctic to the St. Lawrence River or the vapor that forms the clouds across the globe. There is no new water on Earth. It is recycled constantly through the water cycle. If we let our water become contaminated or take it away faster than it can be replenished through the water cycle, we will all suffer. We must protect our water. We depend on it for life, health, and well-being. Ontario is blessed with a third of the Earth's fresh water. Life in Ontario is very much defined by our relationships with water. We use it in so many ways, for transportation, recreation, industry, food production, home and personal care, and for drinking. Safe, clean, abundant water supplies and resources are vital to keeping Ontario families and communities healthy and prosperous. Protecting source water is the first step in ensuring safe drinking water and an important part of protecting our natural resources, green spaces, and the environment. Ontario has a vision for protecting source water that builds on a watershed approach. The basis for much of Ontario's water management since 1970 includes good scientific methods and information, locally developed plans, permitting, assessment, and planning approaches that are flexible and clear about who is accountable. We want to ensure that the people of Ontario can be confident about the safety of the water from their taps. Ontario's vision is built on watershed-based plans. Justice O'Connor, in Part 2 of his report on the Walkerton tragedy, recommended that a watershed-based approach be used to protect drinking water sources in the future. Ontario's vision builds on this wisdom. What happens in one part of the watershed influences the rest of the watershed. If the source water is polluted in one location, it will ultimately flow through the water to pollute the water in other locations. Everyone lives downstream from somebody. Most people live in communities that take their drinking water either from groundwater, water contained in underground spaces within sediment and rock, or from surface water such as lakes, rivers, and streams. Ontario's vision relies on good science. For those communities that rely on groundwater, computer models can be used to identify those areas that provide for the recharge of groundwaters and where land-based activities can pollute or in other ways threaten the drinking water supply. This diagram shows the area around a well, the wellhead protection area. This area needs to be protected from pollutants and threats. The rings show the different protection zones of the wellhead protection area. The first zone, which is the 100-meter zone, is the most vulnerable area. The larger rings show the number of years it takes for the water and any pollutants to seep through the ground to reach the well in 2 years, 5 years, and 25 years. Communities using surface water can also identify intake protection zones, or IPZs, where land-based activities may threaten the quantity or quality of the water supply. This slide shows the IPZs around the intake or pipe that supplies surface water to a community. The blue line represents the watershed boundary, referred to as the total water contributing area. The green line represents a 200-meter semicircle radius of land and water upstream of the intake and 10 meters downstream of the intake, referred to as Intake Protection Zone 1. The red line reflects an area where it would take water and any pollutants in the water no more than 2 hours to get to the drinking water intake, referred to as Intake Protection Zone 2. The yellow line represents a land setback that is included as part of this zone. The science-based approach assesses the source water quality and land-based activities in the watershed to identify and rank current and potential threats to the drinking water supply. Communities can use this information to develop plans that protect their drinking water sources. Even though Ontario has an abundant supply of water, there is no new water. Analysis of the water quantities available in a watershed can determine not only threats to water quantity in Ontario, but also support government approvals for permits to take water. To protect source water, we need to take a preventive approach to ensure that future activities in each watershed, including development, minimizes threats to the drinking water supply. Ontario's vision is built on local partnerships. In a locally based approach, the people living within the watershed, and indeed within the communities themselves, would be part of the development of plans to protect their drinking water sources. Justice O'Connor set as his benchmark for success That a reasonably well-informed citizen feels comfortable that their water supply is protected. Additional tools such as education and outreach materials and incentive programs could also be utilized to protect our sources of drinking water. Ontario's vision is accountable and flexible. For those activities that pose a threat to drinking water supplies, negotiations between those developing the plan and property owners, facility operators, developers, and residents could lead to good practices that will ensure water sources are protected. Throughout the process of developing and implementing a plan to protect drinking water supplies, there may be those who feel the plan does not go far enough or that they are being targeted unfairly. Negotiations and dispute resolution could be used by communities to build consensus. Completed plans may be reviewed and approved by the Ministry of the Environment. Even before final approval of the source protection plans, it is anticipated that many protective actions will be undertaken as the plans are being developed. We are all responsible for source water protection. By working together, we can protect the legacy of our precious water resources for future generations.